UFC Vegas 94, Amanda Lemos versus Vrina Jandiroba just ended, and this is going to be my full card post-fight for the fight night of the ages, the UFC 300 of fight nights, top to bottom, barn burner after barn burner after barn burner, with high stakes on the line, big names, and exciting fights. I can't wait to break down every single fight on this card. I'm kidding. But I was sitting at home, not streaming, taking a night off for a change. I said, you know what? For this magnitude of a card, let me throw on my Venom gear. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to record a full card post-fight. Let me change it up a little bit. So we're going to do it a little bit different. If you guys like this, let me know. I don't know if I'm going to continue to do this in the future. We're going to go through every single fight on the card, starting off with Mohammed Usman versus Thomas Petersen, otherwise known as Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Petersen wins via unanimous decision. Horrible fight. Petersen's striking has definitely improved. He mixed in the grappling just a little bit at the end. Every single round was basically the same. Mediocre striking from both guys, but Mohammed Usman literally looking like he was somehow disabled on the feet. He looked uncoordinated. He looked untrained. His cardio was horrible. And it just goes to show, I mean, look at their body types. You know, I never want to hear somebody say, Joe, you can't talk about fighting ever again. Look at the body types in the UFC that are winning fights. Thomas Petersen, Shamil Gaziev, you know, or Gaziev, whatever the hell his name is. Petersen's improved on his striking. He was landing the left hand. He took a single leg at the end of the third round. Mohammed Usman looked like shit all fight. I thought if this was standing, Mohammed Usman would win. Thomas Petersen outstruck him for the majority of this fight. And Usman looked, it was so weird. I hate this saying, but it applies here. He looked like, you know, he hated getting hit. You know, he was scared to get hit. He doesn't like getting hit. People used to say that about Brock Lesnar. It was like Usman, every time he gets clipped, he's like almost like wobbling around awkwardly and like looking weird. It's like, you know, his corner was screaming for him to put the pressure on him in the third round. There were some moderately competitive rounds, and like maybe if you win the third round, you can win the fight. And he just looked like shit. So he lost a unanimous decision. I'm never picking him again. Next fight on the card, we have Luana Carolina versus Lucie Pudilová. Look, and now I don't even know how this is on the screen. Let me try to center this up a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll click on it. Fair enough. I'll click on it so it's actually centered on the screen for you guys. Look, I'm trying out new things mid-video. Luana Carolina versus Lucie Pudilová. Luana Carolina wins via unanimous decision. What am I to say about this fight, too? I mean, the entire fight was pretty much Luana Carolina beating her up in the clinch. Pudilová got a couple takedowns, but did nothing with it. I think it was in the first round. Luana Carolina landed a nasty knee. Then she got taken down. That was towards the tail end. Landed a couple really good clinch elbows. But overall, it was just Pudilová trying to close the distance, trying to look for takedowns, and just unable to find them. And Carolina's actually decent in the clinch. Her striking was clearly better. Her distance management was clearly better. And she was clearly the better fighter. So Pudilová gets outstruck, gets beat up, loses the fight. And I don't know. I mean, look, she got outstruck by basically double the amount of strikes, even though I don't believe these stats. So now I'm not even going to ever reference these ever again, but I'm just putting them up on screen because it looks aesthetically pleasing for such a horrible fight card. By the way, if you're watching this video right now, you were my most loyal subscriber. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. If you're watching right now and you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, even though I'm sure no new viewers are watching my breakdown of Luana Carolina, Lucie Pudilová. But yeah, Carolina gets it done. Low-level fight. Yeah, I don't know what more to say. She gets it done. Next fight on the card. Oh, and I have a lot to say about this fight. We have Loik Radzhabov versus Trey Ogden. Trey Ogden wins via unanimous decision. And one judge, I believe, gave him a 30-27. This was a brutal robbery. I repeat, a brutal robbery. And the commentary team was absolute shit during this fight. Cut Trey Ogden. And you know what? I actually have a rant about this entire fight card, but we're going to save that for the end of the video. So if you're interested in that, jump to the end of the video. But Radzhabov clearly won this fight. First round, he got out-grappled. Clear out-grappled, taken down immediately, back given, out-grappled. Trey Ogden was looking for rear nakeds. Radzhabov didn't really do much, and Trey Ogden actually did a little bit of ground and pound. Second round, in the second round of this fight, you had basically Trey Ogden getting walked down, rocked, beaten up, smashed on the feet, got a takedown, looked for an arm triangle, and that's it. Just basically stalled out in top. I mean, he took him down, got full mount, got the arm triangle, and then never really got close to finishing it. I know it was locked in, but, you know, getting close to a submission attempt or a choke is the same as not getting it. It's key word for not getting it. So did absolutely nothing. Basically tried to breastfeed Radzhabov the second half of the second round. Then the third round, Ogden got an easy takedown early, took the full mount, and stalled out in full mount. And him literally just wrapping his hands behind the head of Radzhabov. The commentary team's acting like Trey Ogden is discovering new moves in jiu-jitsu, in BJJ. They're like, oh, look at the little minute nuance adjustments. Oh, Trey Ogden. Oh, he's got him right where he wants it. Oh, the jiu-jitsu's so good. He's trying to lie. He's literally stalling out breastfeeding this dude. It was driving me up a fucking wall. And then Radzhabov scrambles out and beats the shit out of Trey Ogden last 2 minutes, minute and a half. So second and third round is no doubt in my mind Radzhabov's round. I don't know how Trey Ogden wins it when the scoring criteria is damage. Second round, Radzhabov walked him down and damaged him. Third round, last 2 minutes, Radzhabov damaged him versus Ogden trying to breastfeed him. And look, one judge gave the third round, 30-27, gave the third round to Trey Ogden. That judge needs to be disbarred. And I'm not even sure that's the accurate, word to be using for this situation. That judge is a clown. Radzhabov 1, 2, and 3. Neither guy looked particularly impressive. Trey Ogden stalled out the whole fight, and the commentary team's applauding him for it. Literally stalling out. He's in full mount, and Herb's saying, "Let's work." And like, what the hell's Herb doing? This dude's in mount. He couldn't do anything. He's not going to stand him up. By the way, Radzhabov, I think in the second and the third, or maybe just twice in the third, maybe. I don't know. It was in the second and third round. I think once each. Scrambled out of full mount. And I don't even know how he did it, basically. It would basically, Trey Ogden finally would go for a submission. Radzhabov knew he wasn't going to get it, and then Radzhabov would scramble out. Radzhabov has no takedown defense. He would immediately let him get in the full mount every single time. It was an embarrassing performance by both guys. Hated the fight. Disgusting display. Horrible judging. Horrible reffing. Horrible commentary. Horrible fight card. And it really wasn't that bad. I know people are going to say that, but we're going to talk about that later. Next fight on the card. Miranda Maverick versus Dione Barbosa. Miranda Maverick wins via unanimous decision, 30-27. Basically, Barbosa would be winning on the feet. First round, she's landing right hand. She's landing good shots. And then she initiates the grappling, and it's just, she would end up on bottom. And then she was just complacent there, looking to set up triangle chokes. It was embarrassing. Dione Barbosa could have won this fight on the feet. She was looking decent on the feet. She's landing good shots. She was throwing some head kicks, landed some with her hands, and then she would initiate the grappling. And I think it was in the second round, she threw like a nasty hip toss and then ends up getting out scrambled, ending up on the bottom, and then just complacent staying there for the entire fight. All 3 rounds. She has no fight IQ. She's like, oh, let me just end up on my back so I can try to use my jiu-jitsu, and she never got close. And Miranda Maverick barely did any damage from top. She clearly won. I'm not taking that away from her. She clearly won, but she wasn't doing any damage. And Barbosa's just like, oh, let me grab wrist control of the right arm or her left arm, but on my right side, and let me look to attempt to throw up a triangle or, whatever it may be. Let me try to look for a guillotine. She was just horrible. It was extremely low level. It was a horrible fight to watch. And Miranda Maverick wins via unanimous decision. So there you go. Next fight on the card. We have Brian Kelleher versus Cody Gibson. Brian Kelleher got absolutely wrecked in this fight, destroyed in this fight, embarrassed in this fight. He got submitted in the first round via arm triangle. And Cody Gibson basically ran through him. Just ran through him, was beating him up on the feet, took him down. I think Kelleher looked for a guillotine at one point. And then Cody Gibson in the scrambles where Kelleher's on the bottom trying to scramble out of position. Cody Gibson just locks up the arm triangle. Brian Kelleher is now on a 4-fight losing streak, if I'm not mistaken. 4-fight losing streak. And Cody Gibson just ran through him. Ran through him. I'm serious. Like, that's crazy. That's never something I thought I would be saying. Cody Gibson just ran through somebody in the UFC. Yeah, that's what happened here. Better striking. Good pressure. Good grappling. Actually looked decent, to be honest. Cody Gibson looked decent and just smashed him in the first round. He's probably getting a bonus, I would assume. I don't know. Probably not. I don't know. There was a couple crazy finishes, so maybe not. And plus, it's Brian Kelleher. But Brian Kelleher, you know, his hole in his game's always been his grappling. It's crazy that Cody Gibson actually looked better against Kelleher than Cody Garbrandt looked, in my opinion. Because Kelleher actually made it competitive against Garbrandt. Landed some shots, was chopping the legs. So Cody Gibson's a guy to watch out for. He's a guy to watch out for in the bantamweight division. Look out for him. He's incredible. He gets it done via arm triangle in the first round. Next fight on the card. Main card already? We're moving up to the main card already? That's craziness. We have Ji-Young Lee versus Hyder Amil. Look, Hyder Amil went out there first round, TKO, standing TKO. Amazing win for Hyder Amil. Great performance from Hyder Amil. I guess. I mean, the main card, in terms of excitement level, it delivered. Now, we're going to talk about that more in depth at the end of the video, but it delivered in terms of excitement level. They went out there. They both started slinging down. Hyder Amil slinging. Ji-Young Lee slinging. Amil started to get the better, then got clipped badly with a right hand. His eyes rolled back in his head. Lee said, you know what? I'm going to go crazy now and just throw wild looping punches. Amil said, I'm going to do the same, and we're going to see who gets hurt first. Or hurt again first. Or hurt badly. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. But either way, Amil recovered very quickly. Kind of eyes rolled off a big right hand, I believe it was. And then he just kept brawling it out. And Lee got clipped. And there was no recovering from him getting clipped. He got walked down, beaten up, destroyed. And the ref gave him every opportunity. I can't remember if it was Mark Smith or Herb Dean. But the referee gave him every opportunity. But look, 42 shots in 1 minute and 5 seconds. 42 punches. Yeah. Destruction win for Hyder Amil. Hyder Amil's a very exciting fighter. And he gets it done. He gets it done on a main card. We're getting Ji-Young Lee versus Hyder Amil on a main card in 2024. It was just an all-out brawl. It only lasted a minute. There's not much to say about it. Hyder Amil is an exciting fighter. Moving on to the next fight on the card, we have Doi Hoi Choi versus Bill Algeo. Doi Hoi Choi wins via second round KO, TKO. Really, it was a TKO. Look, first round was super competitive. It was super competitive. You had Bill Algeo basically looking to grapple. You had Doi Hoi Choi pull a guillotine early that looked tight. Then at one point, Algeo gets back up, and then there's another. I think there was a takedown. I can't remember if there was a takedown by Algeo. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. They were in the clinch position, and they end up in like a scramble. I think Doi Hoi Choi tripped him. Started looking for a rear naked choke. Had a rear naked choke kind of locked in for a second, but had no hooks in. Algeo scrambles out of it. There were some good exchanges on the feet. Both guys landing on the feet. Choi ate a spinning back elbow from Bill Algeo at one point. And then towards the tail end of the first round, you had Doi Hoi Choi looking for a guillotine and landing knees until Bill Algeo goes down to a knee. First round was very, very close. I just barely gave it to Algeo because he landed that big spinning back elbow, and it was competitive on the feet. But I have no problem giving it to Doi Hoi Choi. No problem giving it to him in the first round. Second round. It looked like Doi Hoi Choi had committed, like, look, I'm not going to engage too much in the grappling anymore. Starts landing the jabs, starts landing good leg kicks, starts landing the left hook. At one point, they clinch up. He kind of snaps him down. Looked to take his back for a second, didn't get it. They stand back up. You have Bill Algeo throw a spinning back fist. And then right off of that, Doi Hoi Choi lands another left hook right on the eye that's already busted open from previous left hooks. And Bill Algeo kind of grabs it and kind of holds his finger up like he wants to call timeout, Michael Chandler, Will Brooks style. And then the referee jumps in. I know some people are saying Bill Algeo quit. I wouldn't say he quit. Like, I wouldn't put him in the same category as Cody Brundage by any means. I just think he got hit with a really good shot and could not continue. There could have been serious damage to his eye. He could have thought there was serious damage to his eye. He got punched right on the eyeball. Like, it was a crisp, tight left hook from Doi Hoi Choi right on the eyeball. So I'm not going to hate on Bill Algeo for that. Great win for Doi Hoi Choi. Tough opponent in Bill Algeo. And it's the first win for Doi Hoi Choi in 8 years. So gets it done. Second round KO after arguably losing the first round, but not for sure. Next fight on the card. We have Cody Durden versus Bruno Silva. This was a great fight. Durden looked like he was on the road to winning this fight. He was landing good shots, hard right hands. Silva was having some moments in the first round. There were some decent leg kicks from Silva. There was an eye poke in the first round from Durden. Durden then tried to follow up after literally like slap eye poking him But the ref luckily jumped in, and Durden clearly won the first round. And it looked like, okay, Durden's going to get him here. In the second round, Durden comes out even more aggressive, hurts him again, starts looking for anacondas, Darce chokes, guillotines, nonstop. It looks like he's going to get a finish. Silva's defending all of them. He survived. Then at one point, Durden looked for a rear naked choke up against the fence. That it was like a weird position, kind of like earlier I talked about where there was a rear naked choke position. And Silva survives all that. They then finally break, and shortly after that, Silva lands a filthy uppercut, rocks Cody Durden, literally knocks his mouthpiece out, and it was over right then. It was over right then. I think Chris Dione might have been the ref for this fight. As soon as Durden goes down, he's basically out. Bruno Silva starts following up with vicious ground and pound. You know, you would have thought he was wearing black and gold befitting a champion. Vicious ground and pound, elbows, just smashing, just dicing him up, just piecing him up, just smashing Cody Durden. And, Cody Durden was probably thinking about Jeff Molina some more. And, he was off in his little dreams, And the ref finally jumps in. Devastating win for Bruno Silva. Utter destruction of Cody Durden and a come-from-behind victory for Bruno Silva. It's crazy because sometimes, I went back and forth with this pick on this particular fight because Durden's so tough. So to see Bruno Silva land that uppercut, knock his mouthpiece out, and then just put him to sleep over and over and over again. I mean, Durden took definitely like a year or two off his career, if not more than that, in this fight because he got busted open bad. He took a lot of brain damage. He probably took, it says he landed 45 shots. I can't believe I'm referencing stats again. But let's say it's somewhere around that number. I would say at least 20 of those were the ground and pound shots in the second round because he wasn't eating a whole lot in the first round. He wasn't in the second round, didn't really last, lasted maybe half the round, something along those lines. So, and he didn't even eat a lot. He was looking for the finish. So good on Bruno Silva looking to survive, being able to survive the choke attempts. Some of them looked very, very close. He would go to his back. He would defend. He would scramble out. Durden would look to latch up another choke, and Silva kept fighting. He did not want out of that fight. And he comes back and gets it done with a filthy KO. Next fight on the card, Kurt Holobaugh versus Kruschewsky, or Kruschewsky, I think it is. I'm always butchering his name. Kurt Holobaugh wins a decision, unanimous decision. I thought he clearly won the fight. It was a competitive fight, but you know what? Fuck Kurt Holobaugh. I'm so sick and tired. I know it didn't happen in this fight, but I'm going to say it every time I see it. I'm so sick and tired of these dumb motherfuckers bringing their young children to fights where they can get brutally KO'd. Again, I know Holobaugh won, and it's great. His family's there, and his 5-year-old kid's there, and it's like, woohoo, yeah, great. I love my family, He left his family to be there, and he's there to make money, not cry about anything. But Holobaugh is bringing his kids there. He got clipped up in this fight. If not for those broken gloves, he might have got KO'd. It was a very competitive fight. First round was super competitive. I thought Holobaugh probably won the first round, landed the better shots. It was back and forth on the feet. Second round, Kruschewsky was landing big shots. So was Holobaugh. There was multiple times that Kruschewsky was looking for guillotines, pulling to his back, which I thought was a massive mistake. Holobaugh would look like he was in there tight, but then he would just shake him off, get out of there. He was beating him up against the fence. Second round, it looked like Kruschewsky. I know I'm calling him 8 different names in this video. I'm sorry about that, guys. But it looked like multiple times in this second round, it looked like, okay, he's going to get stopped here. He was getting hurt, getting beat up. And in the second round, it's where Holobaugh, it wasn't the only low IQ decision bringing his young child to the fight. He also hurts Kruschewsky badly and then chases after him and shoots on a takedown. Could have had the finish, clinched up, looked for a takedown. And I think Kruschewsky pulled a guillotine there, and Holobaugh just ended up on top. I had first and second round for Holobaugh. In the third round, Kruschewsky actually scored it for him. Third round, he took him down early with a trip, beat him up a little bit. Holobaugh scrambled out, then gets tackled, took him down. Literally, it was just a football tackle, got taken down, controlled a little bit. Kruschewsky gets reversed. Holobaugh ends up on top, does some damage, but not much. So I still had Kruschewsky winning. I got to stick to one. I got to stick to one name. I'm sorry, guys. It's late. And this card actually sucked the life out of me. Pause. And Kruschewsky is what we're going to stick with. I thought he won a third round, but I could see Holobaugh getting all 3 rounds. I was back and forth on who I was going to score the third round for. So I could, honestly, I was like, oh, Holobaugh won all 3. And then I was like, oh, maybe Kruschewsky won the third. So either way, Holobaugh clearly won, but super low fight IQ, super low IQ in general, bringing his kids to a fight where he could get brutally KO'd. Next fight on the card, the co-main event. Steve Garcia versus Seung Choi. I mean, it lasted a minute and 36 seconds. It was a brawl where basically Choi got overzealous. He landed a couple good leg kicks, decided to get into a brawl with Steve Garcia. Garcia hurts him badly, follows him to the ground, swarms him with follow-up shots, and TKOs him. Now, I will say, and I haven't watched him in super slow-mo yet, three of the ground and pound shots that finished Choi were dead center of the back of the head. You know, I know the whole Cody Durden thing last week, or not Cody Durden, Cody Bumditch from last week, people were like, oh, these were illegal elbows, and they were like, there was like one that was maybe questionable. There was 3 out of like the 5 final ground and pound shots that finished off the fight that were dead center of Choi's back of his head. Good win for Steve Garcia in a co-main event spot. He destroyed him. He's on a winning streak. He's a savage. I don't know why you would try to get into a war with Steve Garcia. You got to be about as dumb as a boxer rocks, you know, or dumb as Jamal Hill, pound for pound, dumbest fighter on the roster. But Steve Garcia gets it done. Nasty win, like typical Steve Garcia fashion. And he destroyed him. He destroyed him and got a finish. Questionable finish. Illegal finish, dare I say. But he got a finish and he wins the fight. And there's nothing more. We're never going to talk about it again because it's not going to be challenged by anybody. It's not going to be appealed by anyone. They're not going to file an appeal in any universe. And Steve Garcia gets it done. You know, I don't think he was intentionally punching him in the back of the head, but still, on the ground, there was 3 shots that ended the fight that were dead center of the back of the head. And I think it was Herb, and I think he noticed it. But he's like, you know what? It's over anyway. I don't think Choi was going to survive anyway. I think he was done anyway. But I'm telling you right now, if that was Cody Brundage, he'd have his lawyer on speed dial right now, and he'd be pretending like he got hit by a truck. So, Steve Garcia gets it done, first round TKO. Next fight on the card, the one you guys all have been waiting for. Amanda Lemos versus Vrina Jandiroba. Vrina Jandiroba wins via second round armbar. I think Lemos is just, you know, I thought she was going to win this one. First round, she pulls a guillotine off the first takedown defense. And first takedown attempt from Jandiroba. And she has some scrambles, but it just seemed like Jandiroba was a step ahead of her on the scrambles. At one point, they end up in a leg entanglement where they're both kind of looking for stuff, and then Lemos ends up on top and lands like 1 or 2 good elbows. I honestly thought off the first round, you could give Lemos the first round off damage. Jandiroba did no damage. Second round, a little bit of striking, but Jandiroba gets a takedown. You know, there's a couple scrambles. Boom. Jandiroba ends up on her back looking for the rear naked choke. It seems like Lemos is going to be all right. She's defending well. She's fighting the grip hand. She's got 2-on-1. All of a sudden, Jandiroba goes from looking for the choke to boom, right into the armbar. And Lemos tries to scramble out. It was an excellent transition from Jandiroba. It was a beautiful submission. It was a beautiful armbar from Jandiroba. This was literally the highlight of the card. And she gets it done. Lemos tries to scramble out for a second, but then she's forced to tap because her arm is about to get snapped in half. And Jandiroba wins, arguably making her the #1 contender in the women's strawweight division, which is actually pretty crazy. Because I think Lemos was ranked #3 going in this fight, and now Jandiroba's on a long winning streak, gets a win over a tough competitor like Lemos. Jandiroba gets it done. Lemos, I think, relies a little bit too much on her jiu-jitsu and thinks too highly of her jiu-jitsu. And I think she thought, okay, I'm good. And then boom, Jandiroba just too slick on the ground. And the way she got that armbar, it just literally went from a position where you'd never think she was going to get the armbar. Within half a second, boom, right in that armbar position. Excellent transition to the armbar for Jandiroba. And now she's put herself in a very good position in the strawweight division. So that's the whole entire card. That's UFC Vegas 94. Now, there's one thing I want to cover here, okay, that I've seen a lot of people talking about. I've seen people, and I see this every time we get a card like this, because let's be very clear. Did the main card deliver on excitement? Sure, there was some decent excitement on the main card. There were some cool finishes. Main event had a cool finish. Co-main event had a good finish. Featured fight was a decent fight. Cody Durden, Bruno Silva was, you know, pretty crazy finish. Doho Choi built Algeo was pretty crazy. What? Did every fight on the main card go to okay, there was only one decision on the main card. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 5 out of 6 on the main card were finishes. Let me look you dead in the camera and tell you guys this. Finishes is not what deems a card good, okay? Our exciting fights and, you know, exciting finishes a component of that? Yes, of course. Of course, every card we want exciting finishes and exciting fights. But that doesn't make a card good. Every time we have a shit card like this, a shit Apex card like this, that's absolute bullshit and horseshit, and we're like, what the fuck is this? And everyone's like, oh, this is shit. And then we get a couple finishes or a couple good fights, and everyone's like, yeah, this card was underrated. I'm such a fucking hardcore. UFC Vegas 94 absolutely delivered. Yes, was it exciting? Yes, it was exciting. Okay? Was it crazy exciting? No, it was not. Is that a high standard to hold it to? Yes. But that's besides the point. I don't even care if it was crazy exciting. There was almost no relevancy to any divisions outside of the main event, which was relevant to the strawweight division. Outside of that, you literally basically have throwaway fighters. Throwaway fighter after throwaway fighter after throwaway fighter. They're never going to be champions. They're never going to be contenders. They're just guys who fill spots so the UFC can have a longer duration of a card so they can put some ads and commercials. That's it. So stop acting like every time we have a shit card at the Apex and, oh, there's some great finishes. It over-delivered. Oh, you know, you got to watch every card. I hate these people. I hate these people. And I'm not even trying to shit on these fighters. These fighters are it's the UFC's fault that they're putting them in these spots. But it's like literally every fighter outside the main event on this main card, really on the entire card, is basically a throwaway fighter. They can fight at the Kentucky State Fair. It doesn't matter. None of them are the elite of the elite. Let's be very clear. None of them will ever most likely be contenders. Okay, is there a chance? Maybe one or two of them is. Maybe. Doubtful. And at the end of the day, it's like, okay, we're seeing an exciting fight. You can go watch an exciting fight at the bar. Like imagine that. Imagine that. Oh, yeah, we got an exciting high school football game and acting like it's the same as watching a pro elite level skill set football game, NFL game. No, it's not. So you people who have to consistently act like you're fucking hardcores, oh yeah, there were some finishes. This card's delivered. Did I watch the card? Yes. Did I enjoy the card? But the majority of people have to find a way to justify these cards. Because like, well, I had nothing better to do with on my Saturday night, so I'm watching the UFC card, which is fine. If you love this card, that's fine. But stop giving the UFC free pass or free passes, because it's happening consistently all the time now, to serve as a shit sandwich after a shit sandwich after a shit sandwich just because you got a couple cool finishes. Okay? I wish people would stop watching cards like this. I wish I would stop watching cards like this, because then maybe the UFC would be like, oh, our ratings are going to be shit. Maybe we shouldn't go back to the Apex where we don't have to worry about selling tickets, so we just serve up shit sandwich after shit sandwich. But I'm just tired of everyone justifying it afterwards. Like, oh yeah, there were some sick finishes. The only fight that was relevant to any division was Lemos versus Jandiroba. The rest of the card was absolute horse shit. Fighters that wouldn't even belonged in the UFC 5 years ago. So just stop giving UFC free reign to give us shitty card after shitty card, low-level fighter after low-level fighter. And just because, oh yeah, we got a slick finish. We gotta justify that card because you had nothing better to do with your fucking Saturday night. So you have to act like the card was so amazing. You're such a hardcore. So you can feel better that you watched the card. I watched the card too. I wasted my time watching it too. Did I have a little bit of fun? Sure, I did. Was it anything that got me? Oh yeah. No, what I love, even if it's a boring fight, okay, do I want them to be exciting? Yes. And this is what I'm going to end it on. I don't want to go in too much of a diatribe here. I love fights that mean something, that are meaningful, and that are high level, and are exciting. That's one of the components. So do some of these fights check off one box? Yes. But we have to hold the UFC accountable for just putting on these super low-level, meaningless fight cards just because we're such diehard fans. This might as well been, you know, a quote-unquote shitty PFL or Bellator card. This is what this card might as well been. That had some exciting fights on it. I'm tired of people having to act like they're so hardcore that they love every card and every finish just because the UFC shit it out and Dana White shit it out and served you a shit sandwich and you gobble it up, you know? Like, it's just annoying to me. I saw people like that on Twitter. I saw people like that, you know, saying, oh yeah, this card delivered. absolutely delivered. I'm so happy I left my friends and family to come watch this card because it was so sick. But that's it. That's the end of the diatribe. Let me know what you guys think. Am I crazy? Am I overreacting? Am I being a little bit aggressive right now because I'm annoyed with these shit cards? Because it like kind of like sucks the love that I have for the sport a little bit. Yeah, I didn't even stream this card. It's the first card I haven't streamed in a while. And people are like, yeah, you missed a great card. No, I watched it. I watched it and I was like, oh shit. Let me throw in my black and gold venom to make me feel more in the spirit. But that's it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching.